I've been using the M4 iPad Pro for the last 6 months, and in today's video, it's going to be a full detailed review of my 6 months experience. Is the M4 iPad Pro worth buying and upgrading for? If you are excited, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, let's get started. If you are currently looking into buying the M4 iPad Pro, there are some things you need to know. First, iPadOS is still very limited. So if you are currently looking to buy the M4 iPad Pro to replace your M4 MacBook Pro, I wouldn't do it. Then, second, the M4 iPad Pro requires a complete new set of accessories. So you need to buy a new Apple Pencil and a new Magic Keyboard. So if you are currently looking into buying a new M4 iPad Pro and you think you can use your older accessories, be careful, because you can't. You will need to spend some extra cash on a new accessory pair of Apple Pencil and Magic Keyboard. And third, and finally the most important, the M4 iPad Pro. It's great, it's amazing, it's the best iPad ever. But it's still an iPad, and so it's still limited by the same problems as older generations. But let's talk about it. The design of the M4 iPad Pro is truly the best part of this iPad. It's super thin, super lightweight, and super easy to carry around. I mean, look at the thinness of this device. It's actually insane. But it's not all good things, because although this new design is super thin and lightweight, once you put it on the Magic Keyboard, you won't notice the difference. You will still believe that it's quite big, quite bulky, quite heavy for an iPad, although it's super thin and lightweight. So I do believe that the best form factor for the iPad is truly whenever it's out of the case, whenever you are just holding it and using it as a touch-first device. But there are also great things about this iPad Pro that have changed, that whenever the design shiny form factor wears out, you have those things to fall for. So the display, it's the best display ever on an Apple product. This is a tandem OLED display. The tandem OLED display features 2 layers of OLED displays, so it can improve all the issues that OLED displays had in the past. So burning in for long periods of time, and durability issues fixed, and of course the big brightness of these displays are much better. So you have all of the advantages of having an OLED display, none of the disadvantages, so now they can compete with older mini LED iPad Pros. This is the best display that Apple has ever made, for sure. Even better than the iPhones, even better than the Macs. This display is truly insane. This is a 13-inch iPad Pro, has a 13-inch OLED display. It's 120Hz, super color accurate, beautiful to look at, amazing to watch movies, TV shows, is HDR capable. All the things that you want to watch and see and video edit here, it's perfect. So imagine this thin sheet of the best display ever made, and that's the best compliment that I can give for the M4 iPad Pro. But the rest is where I was kind of disappointed. For example, the camera system. Now it only has one camera. Although in the past you never used the ultra-wide camera, paying more and getting less, it sucks, let me tell you. But one thing that has changed for the better is the placement of the Face ID camera. Now, the Face ID camera is placed on the horizontal position and not on the vertical position. Before, it was in the vertical position, so whenever you were taking FaceTime calls, it was kind of awkward. You were looking to the side, so instead of being looking at like this for the front of the iPad, you would be looking right there. And it's kind of weird whenever taking a FaceTime call. So, yes, placing the Face ID camera on the horizontal position is very cool. The only issue is whenever you are holding your iPad Pro, like in this position, and you want to use Face ID, you are covering up the camera with your fingers, so you need to be very careful. The iPad Pro warns you whenever you are doing so, but if you love to use the iPad Pro on the vertical position, it might not be that great of a thing. But because most of the time you are using it on the horizontal position with the Magic Keyboard, it was a beautiful change, and of course improves FaceTime quality. But this meant that Apple needed to change the Apple Pencil placement charging system. So they changed it, and now requires a different Apple Pencil. How convenient, Apple. And now we reach the Apple Pencil Pro, which is the new Apple Pencil that Apple released. Yes, charges the same way, on the same place, but requires a new Apple Pencil, a complete new set of accessories. You can use the Apple Pencil USB-C, so it charges via the USB-C port, or you can use the Apple Pencil Pro. No Apple Pencil 2 support, and of course no Apple Pencil 1 support. So you need to buy a new $180 Apple Pencil if you want to use it with this new M4 iPad Pro. This kind of sucks. If you are an artist, if you are someone that needs to upgrade their iPad Pro, but you just want to upgrade your main device, not your accessories, keep in mind once you buy the M4 iPad Pro, you will need to buy a complete new set of accessories, the Apple Pencil and the Magic Keyboard. So that might be a deal breaker for you. And specifically for the Apple Pencil Pro, I do believe that in these 6 months that I've been using it, as a student, not as an artist, this is a very, very cool Apple Pencil. The things that I liked the most were the squeezing feature. So you have now a new squeezing feature, which allows you to squeeze and get a different menu for GoodNotes 5. Beautiful. You can change your menu settings. You can change everything that you want. Also, I love the hovering feature that whenever you hover your Apple Pencil on the display, it shows you where it's going to click. It's also really, really useful for whenever you are drawing or painting and you want to see how it would look, the brush on the screen. These are the two new main features for the Apple Pencil Pro that I thought were incredible whenever you're using it. Oh, one thing that was also really cool was the Find My feature now present on the Apple Pencil, so it's even harder to lose your new and very, very expensive Apple Pencil Pro. As for the Magic Keyboard, well, this is the best accessory that I've ever bought for my iPad Pro. In the last 6 months, completely changed my experience of using the iPad Pro. I have a MacBook, yes, but most of the time I took my iPad Pro to university. So, kinda sucked that I had to write everything that I wanted to with a keyboard on the screen, or on the terrible, terrible feeling folio keyboard case for the iPad Pro in the past. But now, since I switched to the M4 iPad Pro, I've bought the Magic Keyboard, and let me tell you, this is the best accessory ever for the iPad Pro. It turns your iPad Pro into almost a laptop alternative. Not a laptop replacement, but a laptop alternative, because it simply becomes so easy to write, so easy to use. It protects your iPad Pro. It becomes much thicker, much heavier, but it gives you another USB-C port. So there are some trade-offs that you gotta decide if it's actually worth it. For starters, it costs $400, so it's really, really expensive, but it's a commitment. It's a commitment to the iPad Pro. If you buy the Magic Keyboard, feel that you won't need to take your laptop everywhere. Now, I don't take my MacBook Pro almost nowhere. I don't take my MacBook Pro to university, to coffee shops, because it's too big, too bulky. The 16-inch MacBook Pro that I use, the M1 Max MacBook Pro, it's great for video editing and working. But now I do it at home or whenever I go traveling. But for my everyday computer, now I use the M4 iPad Pro with the Magic Keyboard. This is simply all that I need to answer emails, to browse the web, to watch movies, to watch TV shows, to play some nice games. The Magic Keyboard with the iPad Pro allows me to do everything that I need, and I don't need actually to carry around my big machine everywhere. One thing that you need to be careful though, and this now enters the part that disappointed me the most, because I was so excited whenever I saw this new redesign for the iPad Pro, was iPadOS. iPadOS is still the biggest problem with the iPad Pro and the iPad lineup in general. The iPad has become so good at being an iPad, but so terrible at becoming a laptop replacement. And that, I think, it's on purpose. I don't think Apple wants to replace the MacBook with the iPad anytime soon. But in the last 6 months, I wished Apple made the iPad Pro so much easier to use. For example, background multitasking is still not available on the iPad Pro, something that I've been asking for the last 6 months. Because I want to be exporting a video on Final Cut Pro, for example. I want to be exporting a reel for Instagram or TikTok for TikTok. And I want to be doing anything else, like answering emails at the same time, because I want to wait, but I don't want to waste time. And do you know what happens whenever you try to export something and you leave the app on the iPad Pro? The RAM management just completely shuts down the program and kills the export. So if you are doing some type of long task that requires 5-6 minutes at one time and you leave the app, it dies, it stops, it does not work. And that completely sucks. Another thing that sucks very, very much, and again, I've complained this several times during my reviews of the iPad Pro over the last 6 months, is there are no dual audio support. For example, I cannot be playing audio from 2 different sources on the same device. With the Mac, super easy. You can open Safari, play YouTube there, you can open the Apple Music app, play music there, and so I can be listening to music while video editing a video. That seems kind of awkward, but I love to do that. And on the iPad Pro, not possible. So there are several limitations that are kind of weird. I don't know why. The iPad Pro has enough power to deal with these, and it's simply a software choice from Apple, a software limitation, software lock, that I don't understand why. And this keeps me from replacing completely my MacBook Pro with my iPad Pro for 99% of my tasks. And that's why I do believe that the MacBook Pro is still the best option for most people that want to buy a computer for work. Because the iPad Pro will work in those 90% of the scenarios, but in the last 10% it won't, and it will leave you in the dust. So I do believe if you are an average consumer just looking to buy for an everyday computer, not for work but for everyday life, then the iPad Pro will serve you well and it's a great option. And buying the M4 iPad Pro, if you buy the Magic Keyboard and the Apple Pencil, will give you an incredible experience. Super expensive, much more expensive than buying a MacBook Air, but it's a different experience. Gives you a touch display, gives you a back camera, gives you 120 Hz, gives you the M4 chip, about the same performance as the MacBook Air, gives you obviously a touch interface which is much easier to use, closer to the iPhone, gives you iPadOS, which has some cool stuff, like for example being optimized for touch.
You also have access to all the App Store apps and iPhone apps, big advantage over the Mac and macOS.
But it's also very limited on the Finders app and the Files app system. So you have compromises, you have good things, bad things, you have pros and cons, and you need to decide, do the cons outweigh the pros or do the pros outweigh the cons? But I wouldn't buy the iPad Pro for professional work, if you know what I mean. It's kind of weird, but I don't think that the iPad Pro is professional enough for most people. For artists, designers, maybe. But if you are a video editor or even someone that works on a company that requires a specific software that is not available for the iPad Pro, be very careful when replacing your laptop with this device. Other than that, it's a great everyday computer, and I think it's the future of computing. Apple just needs to improve iPadOS. And that seems very, very tough, at least in the foreseeable future. And so, let me know below what you think about the iPad Pro. It's a very weird device, but I made a video last week, I think, talking about how I mastered the iPad Pro. So go check it out to see how I take the most out of my current M4 iPad Pro. I do believe it's the best iPad ever made, and I do believe it's starting to become a laptop alternative, but it's still not a laptop replacement. Thank you guys for watching, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, bye bye.